Welcome to 21st Century Dating Decoded. We're making modern love simple. Get ready to decode your love life. Brought to you by Speed Mingle.
Imagine evaluating a complex, dynamic human being using the exact same mental checklist that you use to buy a toaster on Amazon.
Oh, gosh.
Right? Like you look at a brightly lit photo, you check a couple of specs, you verify the manufacturing date, and then you either add to cart or you just swipe left.
Yeah.
We are essentially treating romance like e-commerce.
Yeah.
And the return policies are, frankly, destroying us.
So true.
So welcome, learners, to 21st Century Dating Decoded. Our deep dive today is titled, Check Your Expiration Date. Why age is a terrible dating metric.
And, it is so great to be here with you all. As your resident relationship and culture expert, I'm thrilled to dive into this absolute mountain of material. Because that toaster analogy, it perfectly encapsulates what sociologists are calling relational consumerism.
Relational consumerism.
Right. Exactly. And today we are looking at how modern dating has become entirely obsessed with these arbitrary numerical metrics, specifically chronological age, and how this obsession is actively filtering out your most compatible partners before you ever even get to say hello.
Exactly. And to figure out how to stop the madness, we've brought a really massive stack of sources to the table today. We are pulling from sociological data, algorithmic research out of the Max Planck Institute, raw user data straight from OkCupid, couples therapy insights, and some truly wild cultural trend reports.
Our mission today is to decode and completely dismantle this ecosystem that researchers call uncertified dating.
Uncertified dating.
Yeah, we're going to look at why a system that, promises infinite connection is actually leaving a vast majority of people more isolated than ever before.
Okay, let's unpack this thesis, because the overarching theme across all our sources today is that modern dating culture is this massive paradox.
Right.
On one hand, society has totally embraced these raw, unfiltered, sort of boundary-put desires. We are more open about what we want than ever. But on the other hand, we've simultaneously abandoned all structure, all intentionality, and all healthy boundaries.
Right. It's just chaos.
It is chaos.
Yeah.
But, I have to stop right here and push back on the core premise out of the gate.
Go for it. What's the sticking point?
The sticking point is the math of it all. I mean, if I'm a single person today, I have more access to other singles at any time in human history.
Sure.
Literally millions of people are living right inside my phone. So just from a purely statistical standpoint, shouldn't dating be exponentially easier today, not harder?
I mean, it is the most logical assumption to make, right? It's the promise the tech companies sold us. But that hyper access is actually the root of the problem.
Really?
Yeah, what we're experiencing isn't a failure of supply. It is a systemic, algorithmic failure. Having access to millions of people doesn't help you if the mechanism that's sorting those people is fundamentally broken. So to fix the future of how we connect, we actually have to look backward.
Look backward how?
Well, we have to look at the Victorian ghosts that are currently haunting our smartphones.
Victorian ghosts haunting our smartphones.
Okay, that is a brilliant image. Let's dive right into the dark ages of modern romance and deconstruct this uncertified dating ecosystem.
Let's do it.
So when the sources talk about uncertified dating, they're describing a space characterized by these endless text threads that just fizzle out and go nowhere.
The worst.
Rampant ghosting and this extreme digital filter fatigue.
Right. And it goes back to your Amazon toaster analogy. Relational consumerism strips away the humanity of the interaction. When you are swiping on an app, you aren't really seeing a person. You're seeing a marketing brochure.
Yeah.
And what is the single most prominent specification people filter for on that brochure?
AGIC. It's the birth year slider, right?
Exactly. People set a hard minimum and a hard maximum. And they use a formula that I think most people assume is based on some sort of hard biological or psychological science. I'm talking about the rule of 7.
Yes, the infamous half your age plus 7 rule. It's this mathematical formula that supposedly determines the socially acceptable minimum age of a dating partner.
Well, I dug into this, and here's where it gets really interesting and, frankly, completely absurd.
Oh, yeah.
This rule is not science. It has zero basis in developmental psychology or biology. It actually traces back to a 1901 book called Her Royal Highness, Woman.
Yes.
By a French author named Max Aurèle.
That's right. It is a 125-year-old piece of Victorian pseudoscience.
And wait, it gets better, because this same guy, in the exact same breath in that book, advised men that they should never, under any circumstances, marry a woman who is taller, richer or older than they are.
Oh, wow.
It is highly gendered Victorian nonsense designed entirely to maintain structural power imbalances in the early 20th century.
Yeah.
So my question to you as the expert
Yeah.
is, how on earth has this 1901 math survived all the way into the AI era?
Well, it survives because it serves a very specific psychological purpose.
Okay.
It acts as a highly convenient social shield, primarily for men who are trailing in maturity.
Interesting.
Right. So if you're a 40-year-old man who hasn't done the emotional work to partner with a 40-year-old woman, the rule of thumb gives you the pseudo-mathematical justification for seeking out a 27-year-old.
Ah, I see.
Yeah, and it helps you avoid the deeper work of emotional development. It's basically a cognitive shortcut. It stops you from having to look in the mirror.
And we didn't just keep that shortcut in our heads, did we?
No, we absolutely did not.
We hard-coded it into the literal architecture of the internet. There's a study from the UOC, the Universitat Oberta de Catalunya, and they put out this incredible study on what they call digital ageism.
This is exactly where the human bias becomes a machine bias.
So break that down for me. How does the machine bias actually work in practice?
Well, the algorithms behind these platforms, they're designed to maximize engagement, right?
Right.
So they look at aggregate user behavior. Because so many users have historically applied these arbitrary age filters, like the rule of 7, the algorithm learns that older equals less desirable.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So even if you, as an individual user, are totally open to dating someone 5 years older than you, the algorithm will actively penalize older users by showing their profiles less frequently. You are literally being hidden by the machine simply for having a birthday.
That is wild. And the OkCupid data, which was analyzed by the mathematician Hannah Fry, it perfectly illustrates the fallout of this.
Oh, her analysis is fascinating.
Yeah, the data shows that women's preferences generally track their own age. So a 30-year-old woman is generally swiping on and looking for, a 27 to 32-year-old man.
Right.
But men, regardless of their own age, whether they are 25, 35, or 45, they primarily target women in their early 20s.
And if we connect this to the bigger picture, the consequence is a structural crisis that sociologists call the marriage squeeze.
The marriage squeeze.
Yeah. Because of this choice architecture on the apps, there is this artificial scarcity of matches. Think about it. You have huge swaths of highly compatible, emotionally mature people who are completely filtered out of each other's feeds based purely on a birth year slider that is catering to 1901 logic.
And it's crazy because the apps themselves actively make it worse. There is this de-biasing desire research that highlights how the algorithm for Coffee Meets Bagel operates.
Oh, right. The Coffee Meets Bagel study.
Yeah. If I say I'm open to meeting a variety of people, you'd think the app would show me a variety of people, right?
I would hope so.
But instead, the algorithm actively narrows user choices based on inferred stereotypes.
Exactly. If the app infers, based on your demographics, that people like you typically only date within a 2-year age gap, it will restrict your feed to that gap, even if you never asked it to.
It's just phenomenally lazy marketing.
It really is.
I mean, we know from the new Digital Age report that in the business world, targeting consumers by their life stage and their actual behavior produces significantly better results than targeting them purely by age.
Right.
If you're selling hiking boots, you target people who buy compasses, not just like all 30-year-olds. Yet dating apps, which are trying to sell us the most important connection of our lives, they still use the lazy marketer's approach.
They absolutely do. And the psychological toll of this lazy choice architecture is just devastating an entire generation of daters. Which brings us directly to the Gen Z experience.
Oh, man. Yeah.
If you are listening to this deep dive and you feel utterly exhausted by the apps, this data is going to validate everything you're feeling.
Gen Z has literally been dubbed the loneliest generation, according to a recent report by KSL.
Yes. The swipe fatigue is real, it is measurable, and it is massive. Let's look at the apps flyer data.
Okay.
It shows that an astonishing 69% of dating apps downloaded are deleted within a single month.
69%.
I know. And we are seeing SSRS and Edison metrics, which are essentially massive polling and market research indicators, showing a huge, undeniable shift away from traditional online dating altogether.
It is total burnout. But explain the why here. Why are they burning out so fast when they are literally the most digitally native generation in history?
Because the apps rely on the gamification of rejection.
Right.
Every swipe left is a micro rejection, and every swipe right that doesn't result in a match is another micro rejection. Combine that constant low-level sting with what psychologists call the paradox of choice.
Right, the paradox of choice. The idea that having too many options makes you completely unable to choose any of them. Like standing in the cereal aisle staring at 50 different boxes and eventually just walking out with nothing.
Exactly. When you believe there is always an infinite stream of potentially better matches just one swipe away, you never actually invest in the person in front of you.
Yeah.
The actual romantic experience becomes completely hollowed out.
So what does a digitally native generation do when the digital world completely fails them? They launch an analog rebellion.
They do.
They are seeking refuge in hyper-niche physical spaces. We're seeing this massive rise in what cultural analysts are calling granny core hobbies.
I love this trend so much. It's so wholesome.
I saw the Eventbrite data on this, and it blew my mind. Gen Z is actively pursuing IRL in real life, dating through these very traditional, slow-paced hobbies.
Yeah.
Trivia night attendance on their platform is up 403%.
Wow.
Mahjong meetups are up 235%. Bird watching meetups are up 131%. Bird watching. They are running into the woods with binoculars to escape the algorithm.
It is brilliant, honestly, because these hyper-niche spaces act as value-based communities. Think about the psychology of it.
Okay.
If you meet someone at a 7 a.m. birdwatching walk, you have already pre-filtered for so many crucial personality traits. You filtered for curiosity, for patience, for a willingness to be outdoors, for a shared lifestyle pace.
You completely bypass the awkward small talk. There's this fantastic study out of the University of West Georgia on speed dating. The researchers analyzed the actual conversation sequences, specifically looking at how people use what they call topic proffers.
Oh, break down a topic proffer for the learners.
Essentially, a topic proffer is when you throw a subject out there to see if the other person bites. Like, do you like sushi? Have you seen that new movie?
Right.
It's this exhausting verbal dance of trying to figure out if you even have a baseline commonality with a stranger.
It's exhausting.
But if you are both standing in a freezing park staring at a woodpecker, the baseline is automatically established. You don't need topic proffers. You just talk about the woodpecker.
Exactly. Fast Company even did a report on this behavioral shift. They found singles intentionally lingering in grocery store aisles or playfully stealing someone's sweet green salad order off the pickup shelf just to force an accidental meet cute.
Stealing a salad, that's hilarious.
I mean, people are absolutely desperate for organic connection. They are starting to intuitively treat their dating lives the way a financial advisor treats an investment portfolio.
The relational portfolio. I really love this concept. Let's really dig into this because this is actionable for everyone listening.
Definitely.
If you are investing your emotional capital, you shouldn't dump all your funds into a highly volatile passive asset. And that's exactly what app swiping is. It's crypto for your heart.
That is such a good way to put it.
Highly volatile, mostly passive, and prone to sudden crashes.
Right. To have a healthy relational portfolio, you need to manage your risk. You have to diversify your interactions across different physical and social environments. You need some high-risk, high-reward assets, like, walking up to a stranger in a coffee shop. And you need some steady, compounding assets, like joining a weekly Mahjong club. You are seeking a genuine return on investment, which is a real, sustainable connection.
But you still have to manage the portfolio well, We see so many tragic, funny, modern habits where people self-sabotage their own portfolios.
Oh, all the time.
They say they want real connection, but they're trying to attract it using outdated, poorly lit headshots, heavily layered with expired digital filters from 5 years ago on their profiles. It's literal false advertising for your portfolio.
You cannot ask for gritty authenticity while hiding behind a soft-focus sepia filter from 2018.
No.
It immediately signals a lack of confidence and a lack of self-awareness. But this intense drive for stability and authenticity among younger daters is creating some really fascinating generational quirks and contradictions. Let's look at the Indy 100 report about Gen Z women.
This is a major cultural shift.
Yeah.
According to the data, Gen Z women are actively choosing to date older millennial men. They're intentionally aging up.
Yes.
Why? Because they're trying to escape men of their own era who they perceive as being trained by the algorithm and influenced by the manosphere.
Now, to be strictly objective here, we are just reporting what the sociological data says.
Right, not taking a side on the politics of it.
Exactly. But the research indicates that these Gen Z women are prioritizing partners who have done the work. They are looking for men who have been to therapy, who understand emotional vocabulary, and who offer a baseline of emotional stability that they feel is missing in their immediate peer group.
Okay, I hear that, but I have to push back as the skeptic again.
Let's hear it.
Doesn't a generational age gap bring a massive clash in media habits and just daily communication? There's an entire massive Reddit thread dedicated purely to the culture clash between Gen X and millennials dating.
Oh, I've seen that.
Right. They text differently, they consume news differently, their pop culture references are totally misaligned. So wouldn't Gen Z and millennials have the exact same friction?
That friction is absolutely real. But here is the key insight. That media clash is being overridden by shared values.
Oh, really?
Yeah. A Mashable report found that 28% of Gen Z daters will outright cancel a date over political differences. For this generation, shared values are completely non-negotiable. They will happily navigate a different media diet or explain a TikTok trend to a millennial as long as the moral and emotional foundations align. Values trump the cultural friction.
That makes a lot of sense. So on one end of the spectrum, we have Gen Z actively running away from algorithms by hiding in the woods with binoculars and dating millennials.
Right.
What is happening on the exact opposite end of this spectrum? Like, how are baby boomers navigating this?
It's a completely different dynamic, and in many ways, older generations are using technology as a social shield.
Really?
Yeah. Wang's General Social Survey data reveals a really surprising statistic. Older Americans actually report more lifetime extramarital sex than younger Americans.
Well, seriously.
Yes. The dynamic of dating in later life is incredibly complex, especially when adult children and established family systems are involved.
So the Nemitz study out of LSU dives deep into this exact phenomenon. They applied a psychological framework called Bowen Family Systems to boomer dating dynamics, specifically looking at what's called the triangulation trap.
This is such a crucial concept. For the learners who aren't familiar with Bowen family systems, explain the triangulation trap. What is happening psychologically?
Think of a two-legged stool. It's inherently unstable, right?
Right.
In psychology, a two-person relationship, like a single parent and an adult child, can become emotionally unstable under the stress of change. So unconsciously, they drag a third element into the dynamic to create a tripod. They triangulate. The Nemitz study found that older parents often falsely believe they have open communication with their adult children. But when the parent re-enters the dating scene, the stress causes them to build rigid privacy walls around their romantic and sexual lives.
Wow.
They triangulate the new partner into the family system without actually discussing the relationship honestly with their kids.
Because they are dealing with the immense unspoken stigma of aging sexuality. Society does not like to think about older people having active romantic lives, and their communication methods are shifting to accommodate the secrecy, too.
Right.
There is a model from Tilburg University called the DIR model, Differential Investment in Resources.
How does that apply to their dating habits?
Well, it shows that older adults lean heavily on what's called social internet use, or SIU. They use messaging, email, and the internet to maintain social networks because it requires a much lower energy expenditure than going out.
Okay, that makes sense.
But it completely changes how they vet potential partners. Gen Z heavily prefers video-based vetting. They want to hop on FaceTime immediately to test the vibe. Older adults prefer the distance and control of text. It's a lower energy investment, but it also allows them to maintain those rigid privacy walls.
And to truly understand the depth of these societal stigmas around aging and relationships, we have to look at the Vignette study by Kirby from ISU Red in 2026.
Yes, I love this study.
This study tested our inherent biases regarding infidelity, and the methodology is just brilliant.
The Vignette method is one of my favorite sociological tools.
For those who don't know, explain what that is.
A Vignette study is essentially a psychological decoy.
A decoy?
Yeah, it circumvents what we call social desirability bias. If I ask you directly, hey, are you ageist? You will obviously say no. Nobody wants to admit to bias.
Right, of course.
But if I give you a hypothetical scenario about a third party, a vignette, and ask you to judge them, your true internal scripts come out.
Exactly. So in this study, they gave participants a hypothetical couples counseling intake form where a spouse had committed infidelity. The scenario was identical in every way, except they changed two variables: the age of the cheater, either 34 or 64, and the gender of the cheater.
The findings are incredibly revealing about how we view age. Participants judged the older cheaters, the 64-year-olds, as being far more surprising than the 34-year-old cheaters.
Yeah.
But paradoxically, they also assumed the older cheaters were far more motivated to actually fix the marriage after the affair.
And the gender bias layered on top of the age bias was wild. The participants assumed that the women in the vignettes cheated because they were seeking a romantic experience. But they assumed the men cheated for sexual experimentation or intellectual sharing.
Which perfectly proves that we are actively projecting outdated, ageist, and sexist scripts onto relationships. We carry this deep-seated assumption, which was also backed up by the Pratt and Schmall study, that older people possess an inherent disinterest in sex.
Right.
So when a 64-year-old commits infidelity, society is shocked, not just by the moral betrayal, but by the sheer fact that they possess sexual agency and desire at all.
Right. It shatters the script. The birth year on your driver's license is literally blinding society to the reality of complex human behavior.
All right.
So let's bring all this together. What does this actually mean for the learner listening right now? If chronological age is a terrible metric, and the algorithms are mathematically penalizing us, and Gen Z is fleeing to the woods to look at birds just to find a date, how do we actually replace age with metrics that matter?
We have to look to the relationship science that has consistently proven what makes a partnership actually survive long-term. And we start with Carol Rusbolt's investment model.
Let's unpack the investment model, because this is the math we should be using instead of the 1901 Victorian Rule of 7.
Rusbolt was a brilliant social psychologist, and her model breaks relationship survival down into a calculation of 3 core pillars.
Okay.
Number 1, the satisfaction level. How much joy and fulfillment the relationship brings you. Number 2, the quality of alternatives. Meaning, do you genuinely believe there is a better partner out there for you?
Right.
And number 3, the investment size. How much emotional, practical, and financial capital have you poured into this partnership? That's the equation.
Notice what is glaringly absent from that equation: chronological age. It is nowhere in the math of relationship survival.
But wait, I know you love to play the skeptic.
Always.
If we are talking about human biology, about starting families, isn't chronological age at least a little relevant? Are we really saying it's completely arbitrary?
That's the perfect question. And the answer is yes, biology matters, but chronological age is a terrible shorthand for it. To put this into a practical framework for the modern dating market, we look at the Chinella indicators, SMEL.
Break down the SMEL framework for us.
It stands for social alignment, mental maturity, energy, and life stage. Think about it practically. A 35-year-old and a 45-year-old might share the exact same energy levels. They might be in the exact same life stage. Maybe they both just got out of long-term marriages, or maybe neither wants kids.
Right.
If they align purely by chronological age with their direct peers, they might find massive mismatches in mental maturity or social goals.
It reminds me of the corporate philosophy from the Polta Group. Age is just a number. Biological age, how healthy your body actually is, and psychological age, how flexible and resilient your mind is, matter vastly more than the arbitrary chronological age on your passport.
If we connect this back to the business world, look at Tiscarilla. They are a massive advocate for skills-based hiring. They argue that looking at a candidate's actual skills is way more predictive of success than just looking at what university is on their degree.
Yeah, that makes total sense.
We desperately need skills-based dating. We need to filter for conflict resolution, emotional regulation, and shared values, rather than just using a birth year slider to screen people out.
Dr. Amanda Lynn Quimby's framework captures this perfectly with her triad of connection: chemistry, friendship, and compatibility. You need all 3 to sustain a relationship.
And this is where the data from McLean US provides such a great visual perspective. They note that shared values build the house. Chemistry just decorates it.
That is such a profound analogy. Shared values build the foundational structure of the house, but chemistry is the paint and the furniture.
But look at what the apps do. The apps prioritize the decorations.
Yes.
They focus entirely on the photos, the witty bio, and the birth year. We get so caught up in the superficial timeline of it all. There is fascinating data from Aperion that contrasts monochronic cultures with polychronic cultures.
Oh, explain the difference.
Monochronic cultures view time as a strict linear timeline. You do X by age 25, Y by age 30, Z by age 40.
Okay.
Polychronic cultures view time as fluid and cyclical. Our dating culture is obsessively monochronic. It creates what the researchers at Unplugged call milestone bingo.
Milestone bingo.
You feel this immense crushing anxiety that you are failing at life if you aren't married by 30 or if you haven't bought a house by 35.
But real compatibility doesn't care about milestone bingo. Relationship expert Susan Winter calls highly compatible couples resonant souls. When two resonant souls meet, they completely ignore those societal timelines because the internal alignment is so strong.
Which brings us to the ultimate proof that our entire societal obsession with age is a complete fabrication. It's the mic drop of today's deep dive. Paul Eastwick's blind date study.
This study is incredible. Eastwick and his team studied 4,500 blind dates. And the crucial factor here is that most of these dates happened in person, not over a screen.
And what was the reveal?
When people actually meet in person, without an algorithm pre-selecting their choices, and without a digital slider dictating the parameters of who they're allowed to talk to, the gender differences in attraction to youth basically vanish.
They vanish.
Yeah.
The Victorian math from 1901, the OkCupid data showing men only want 20-somethings, the algorithms penalizing older users.
Yeah.
All of it is completely overridden by real physical chemistry.
Exactly.
When you actually put two humans in a room together, they look at each other, gauge the SML indicators, the energy, the maturity, and they throw the birth certificate out the window.
It definitively proves that the digital interface is actively manufacturing and reinforcing the age bias. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy designed by a user interface.
Right.
So the multi-million-dollar question becomes, how do we scale the magic of the sweet green salad meet cute? How do we bypass the algorithm at a structural level?
This is where we transition from the problem to the actual structural solution to the dating recession. We have to talk about the Speed Mingle ecosystem.
Speed Mingle is a platform designed specifically as the remedy for this exact dating burnout we've been discussing. It takes the concept of the relational portfolio, diversifying how you meet people, and the SML indicators, and it builds an entire physical and digital infrastructure around them.
Let's detail their 6 intentional modalities, because this covers literally every base of human connection, completely removing the superficial slider bar. First, you have Speed Mingle Anywhere.
This is authentic, face-to-face video interactions from the comfort of your own home. It completely bypasses that endless text and pen pal trap where you waste 3 weeks talking to someone on an app, only to meet up and realize within 5 seconds that you have zero physical chemistry.
Yes.
You jump straight to the video vibe check.
Second, there is Speed Mingle Social. These are relaxed, non-hosted weekly gatherings at established local venues. It brings the low-pressure vibe back to meeting people. You aren't sitting across a table interviewing someone. You just show up, exist in the physical space, and see who you naturally gravitate toward.
For those leaning into the granny core trend we talked about earlier, there is Speed Mingle happenings. These are curated, activity-based events. It completely eliminates the awkward small talk and the exhausting topic proffers.
Right.
You are doing a shared activity together, which, as we established, is the best real-world nervous system test there is. You get to see how they handle minor stress, how they follow instructions, and how they laugh in real time.
And what's brilliant is that it's not just about romance. Modality number 4 is Speed Mingle Neighbors. This focuses on high-energy social events designed to turn local strangers into friends. No romance required.
I love that.
It is entirely about building up your Dunbar's number, the cognitive limit of 150 meaningful relationships humans are supposed to maintain. It's about curing the loneliness epidemic by creating a real community network.
They even apply this philosophy to careers with Speed Mingle B2B. This is a high-octane, round-robin professional networking format designed to maximize your career circle without the stuffiness of a traditional corporate mixer.
And finally, coming in the fall of 2026, they are launching Speed Mingle 1-to-1. This focuses on pre-vetted, personalized, low-pressure meetings based on actual, verified psychological compatibility, not just an age slider or a zip code.
This entire ecosystem embodies the relational portfolio approach. It fosters those crucial smell indicators in real life. It removes the artificial scarcity, it strips away the algorithmic biases, and it lets human chemistry do what Paul Eastwick's study proved it does best, completely override the arbitrary math.
It is a total paradigm shift. We've covered a massive amount of ground today, from 1901 Victorian rules to AI algorithms. But before we wrap up and give the final calls to action, I know you have a final provocative thought on this that builds on everything we've discussed.
I do. We've spent this entire deep dive talking about how chronological age is a useless, destructive metric for romantic dating. But I want our learners to mull this over. What does this mean for our friendships?
Oh, that's interesting.
If we are conditioned by algorithms to only seek out romantic partners exactly our own age, we are probably doing the exact same thing with our platonic communities.
Right.
How many amazing mentors or incredibly wise peers are we filtering out of our lives just because they belong to a different generation? If we want to cure the loneliness epidemic, we have to start checking the expiration dates on everyone we meet, not just our dates, but our friends too.
That is incredibly profound. Ageism isolates all of us. If you want to break out of that isolation and bypass the slider bar yourself, take the initiative. Get off the couch and attend a local Speed Mingle event to mix, match, and mingle.
And if there isn't an event currently available in your area, don't just sit around and wait for one to magically appear. Contact Speed Mingle to become a local host or a venue partner. You have the power to actively build the community you are looking for.
You can catch this deep dive and all our others across the major audio platforms. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube Music, Amazon Music, Audible, iHeartRadio, and Deezer.
And if you prefer the video experience, tune in to Speed Mingle TV on YouTube, Roku, or Amazon Fire TV. Just search Speed Mingle Network, or use the mobile web app at speedmingle.mobi. And of course, our official hub for all this research is 21stCenturyDatingDecoded.com. We would also immensely appreciate it if you could smash the subscribe button, drop a 5-star review, and share the link to this deep dive with that specific friend who still uses an expired, blurry filter on a dark headshot.
Yes, please.
They desperately need to hear this.
They absolutely do. Until our subsequent deep dive, remain deliberate, maintain protection, and consistently date with a defined purpose.
Welcome to Speed Mingle.
Where making real connections happens in
Stream,
seconds.
swipe, socialize. Your ultimate connection network.
Jump in now.
Thanks for tuning in to the Speed Mingle Network.